less stressed out you will be for the real thing. Trust me, this helps. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, the best place to build your tech career and have fun along the way. On Tuesdays, I upload makeup and lifestyle videos, and on Fridays, I upload tech and career-related videos. Today, I'm super excited to share with you 5 tips to slay technical interviews. So, if you're in computer science like me, it is going to be that time of the year where we have to apply to things, and unfortunately, we may have to have a coding or programming interview to get the internship or to get the job. Now, if you're new here and you are just still applying to jobs, you can check out my video on how to get an internship with no experience, and I also have a few other career-related videos like how to write a winning resume that you can check out before watching this video. But if you're like, hey, I've done the application and now I'm trying to prepare for that scary, heart beating super fast moment, which is the technical coding interview. In this video, we'll give you 5 little easy strategies you can do so that you will be your best in your interview and that you will get the job. So with that, if you like what you see, please subscribe and comment down below. I love hearing from you, and with that, let's get into the video. The first tip to get you prepared for your technical interview is to study and review. So, you may look at your old notes and notebooks from previous classes that you've taken, or you can always do a Google search and find practice problems there. You can go on YouTube and search up mock interview examples, but there's some other more structured resources that I highly recommend. Online, you can search LeetCode and make an account there, or on HackerRank. Those 2 platforms are really good for implementing the environment that's most similar to a real technical coding interview. In my experience, I've had a phone call technical interview where I had to type in a blank Google Doc my code, and I've also had the experience of going to an on-site interview in front of the manager and the lead software engineer and writing my code on a whiteboard. So, if you want to have that kind of locked-in experience of, oh, I have to make sure my code runs in a fixed environment, LeetCode is really good for that. And then also, the most recommended book for getting really good at technical interviews is Cracking the Coding Interview, 189 Programming Questions and Solutions. So this gives you the solutions to all of these questions that are posed. This book is updated each year so that it can be the most relevant for the types of questions that different companies are asking their software engineers. And so this is something that I am going to make a priority because I'm going to be looking for an internship for this summer. And the biggest thing for studying and reviewing is find a schedule that works for you. You don't have to make this something that takes over your life and you spend hours every day prepping for a technical interview. You can make it more manageable. I'm gonna do 1 to 2 problems today, and then I'll work on a few tomorrow or every other day. And you can even ask some of your fellow classmates or peers if they are interested in developing more skills and working on problems as well. So there's lots of options to studying and reviewing, but it's really good to get your mind thinking about those data structures, about those algorithms, because you will be asked those questions on data structures, on algorithms, on the interview, and you'll also be asked to problem solve. So this book is really good for introducing solutions on how they solve problems, and then in LeetCode and HackerRank, you can actually code by yourself and then run it and see, oh, did this work? Did this not work? And you can also time yourself there too. That is just something to think about. LeetCode, HackerRank, and books to make sure you are all refreshed on your skills. My next tip is to practice problem solving and explaining things out loud. So once you've studied and reviewed your computer science concepts, you need to be able to feel confident about them and be able to explain them eloquently. So the best way to do this is to look at one of your problem examples, like in your book or on LeetCode, and articulate what the problem is and how you're going to solve it. So as you start coding, you can explain each piece of code and feel like you have a mastery of the problem. This is super important for the next step. Tip number 3 is to practice doing mock interviews. They always say practice makes perfect, and I don't know if that's 100% true, but I will say practice makes better. So the best thing you can do is to try to replicate that environment that you're going to be in for your interview. So whether that's online, you could use Leet Code, or if it's for a Skype or phone call interview, you could practice recording yourself and see how you do and look back at the footage to make sure that your body language and how you approach the problem is confident and eloquent. And then also, to make this more fun, you can ask one of your peers, your fellow students, one of your friends to do a mock interview with you. That way they can ask you the questions, you can go through it, and then they can give you honest feedback afterwards on how you did. It's a whole technical aspect on whether you address the problem in a correct, efficient way, but also there's an element of, okay, do you seem like you are an easy person to work with? Are you confident? Do you seem like you can handle the stress of something like a problem to solve? And so there's different elements you need to think about. When you are doing a coding problem, I'll give you 2 quick tips. One, you want to mention, at some point you want to mention the best and worst case scenario for a problem that you're solving. And then with that, you can mention the time complexity. So that means big O notation. Those are 2 quick tips on when you're going through a problem. Those are important things that employers look for. And if you're a student or alumni, you can always contact the Career Development Center at your school to see what kind of career development events they're holding. A lot of times they will hold mock interviews for students. So you can practice with a professional who you don't know, and they can give you honest, unbiased feedback from how you do on that mock interview. And the best benefit of this is that the more you practice, the less stressed out you will be for the real thing. Trust me, this helps. Tip number 4 is to go into your technical interview with confidence. Now, you may be asking, oh, okay, well, like, how am I just gonna suddenly get confidence overnight? Obviously, you can't just get confidence overnight. It's something that you build over time, but there are things you can do that make you feel a little bit better going into the interview. Like, for example, you wanna make sure that you aren't gonna be hungry in the interview. Maybe you wanna make sure you look your best for the interview, or that you feel put together. Obviously, things are digital and online, and you might have a virtual interview, so how you dress might not be the most crucial factor, but if it helps you feel a little bit better and take things more seriously, then I suggest you do that. Same thing with if it's a virtual interview, be sure that you're in an environment where you feel like you are in the mind zone to just hit the ball out of the park with this JavaScript code or this Python code. You want to make sure that you feel confident with the tools that you have. And that could be making sure that your laptop is fully charged, making sure that you are on time to your interview. In my experience with my software engineering internship, I messed up the interview times because I thought it was on the time zone I was in, and it was in a different state, so it was actually on their time zone. So that could have been disastrous for me, but thankfully I had like 5 minutes to get set up and everything was fine. But you can do things to prevent that. Make sure that you know the exact time zone, you can be early, you can be ready, and you have everything you need right in front of you. And the best thing is, stay confident and positive. Your interviewer doesn't want you to fail. If they're asking you tough questions, then that's okay. Use that to try to pull anything you can from your prior experience. Now, if you get a question and you're like, I don't know anything about that, if you can try to ask a specific question within that big, crazy question that seems super intimidating, a lot of times the interviewer will help you and give you some guidance. Now, if you feel like, oh no, like I'm drawing a blank, a lot of times, if they really are interested in you, they will give you little hints, or they will move on to a different question if, you know, they realize that, hey, maybe they don't have that skill yet, we'll ask them a new skill. So the biggest thing is to stay positive. You don't want to be defeated if the first question off the bat you're not sure of, you don't know. Because even if you think you do bad, there's a chance that they just use that question to break the ice and see how people do with questions that they can't solve. I've heard about some big companies asking potential software engineers questions that aren't solvable just to see how they react in those situations. So the best thing is to stay positive and confident, because most people want to hire people that are really positive and don't give up easily and are agreeable to work with. My final tip for you guys is to take a deep breath and don't put too much pressure on yourself. I know for me, one strategy I have for getting an internship is to have an open mind and apply to many places. Now, even if I don't take all of those places to be this amazing thing that I want to do, I can use some of those places as practice interviews for my future interview that is the number one that I have in my head. And if you're in a spot and you're in this interview and it's not going well and you know it's not going well, just take a deep breath. You can do this. It's gonna be okay. It's a learning experience, and I promise you everything will work out in the end. Your future is not determined by one interview. Your future is determined by the skills you grow over time, and yes, you can learn from the mistakes you make, you can learn from bad interviews, and it's all going to be okay. And I'm going through the journey of how I landed my software engineering internship in next week's video, and so stay tuned for that. I hope that you've enjoyed these 5 tips on how to slay technical interviews, especially for computer science students, for software engineers, and computer science related jobs. As always, if you have any questions, please comment them down below, and you can also check out my computer science related playlist to see if I've already covered a topic or question that you have. I love connecting with you guys, and I'm so excited about 2021 and giving you updates on my school and my career and all the craziness that's happening with it. This coming Tuesday, I'll do a Tech Touch-Up Tuesday where I talk about the first week of grad school, because this whole week has been my first week of grad school, and it's a lot. So I'm excited to share that with you, and thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you very soon.